Great Scott! This is John Carlos, and I am really excited to review for you guys the Hot Toys 1/6 scale figure of Doc Brown from Back to the Future Part 2. This is the Sideshow exclusive version, which comes with a little extra hibbity-dibbity. So let's go check it out. So here's the figure right out of the box, and I gotta say, I like it. I'm not like crapping my pants loving it, but I do like it. There's a lot of really strong detail in his shirt, so I dig that. In fact, let's just go in for a closer look and just start there. The shirt itself has a really nice kind of printed pattern on it. I really like the use of white and kind of the darker kind of flower colors on it. His tie in particular is really good. The clear plastic of it reads good. There is an elastic strap that you don't even, it's still clear, and then right around the back of the neck it starts to become an elastic strap. Mine showed up perfectly centered, but you might need to spin yours around a little bit to line it up to the middle. But there you go. Nice closer look at the shirt. In fact, let me zoom out here just so you guys can see the fact that it's got like some, some layers to it as far as the way it's designed, just like it is in the movie. So I like that sort of multi-layered effect. The cross-stitching pattern that goes across the front of it looks pretty good. The texture of the pants is freaking fantastic. Here's a closer look at that, just so you can see the little lines going across, these little sort of plasticky painted lines. There's definitely like a little, you can feel the bump of them, so that's good. But where this figure really blows my mind is the shoes. Hot Toys tends to get a lot of good details within the shoes, and this is no exception. The red laces look great. All the gack on his shoes look freaking awesome. I love his socks. Good detail that they captured from the movie. He's got the little antenna on there. Just be careful you don't, accidentally break that off. But the little studs going around the edges of the boots are very detailed. The look of leather kind of fabric. The little stitching up the back. Very, very, very nicely done. His sleeves do tuck in and kind of like fold up on the inside. I don't want to mess with them too much, but they do kind of tuck in there. Also, his arm has some nice little sculpted lines that kind of create the illusion of arm hair. But let's get up to the nitty-gritty, the top of the figure. Let's talk about this head. I happen to like it. Again, don't love it, but I am fond of the expression they picked. We see a lot of Doc going, and Great Scott, and looking surprised, and this is an appropriate Doc expression. I think this is great. I just wish that maybe his hair wasn't so simple looking, so well coiffed. In fact, when he shows up at the end of part 1, his hair is more wily than this. When we see him in the alley, it is a little brushed back like this, but it's a little wilier at the back edges there. I wish it could just flare out a bit more. But considering the limitations of doing sculpted hair like this, it is what it is. But look, I like the wrinkled brow, I like the expressive eyebrows, the eyeball paint is fantastic. You do get a good surprised look, the bags around the eyes, and I love the expression of the mouth. This is a good mouth. You can see Christopher Lloyd's features in there, like between the nose and the lip. You could totally see it. The gap in the mouth. I just think this figure isn't like wrinkly enough. Like, it's a little smooth. A little too smooth. But he did come, and admittedly come to 2015 and get, some face work done. So maybe that's why it looks like that. But within the mouth itself, you do see a little bit of teeth on the inside there. Some nice little kind of darker pink paint in there. Yeah, I just wish the face was a little more, a little older, a little wrinklier. Oh, and one last thing, I got to show you guys the inner lining of his coat. Just so you can see the little pattern in there. But yeah, on to the accessories. The first accessory we'll take a look at is the emergency cash briefcase, which snaps open and closed and has a bunch of money on the inside, a bunch of little printed up pieces of paper that have some pretty good detail to them. We have different color schemes. They are all actual paper. If you had like a pair of tweezers, you could probably try to pull them out. And it also comes with a sticker sheet where you could put the appropriate year numbers over the little plastic covers of each of these little sections, and the emergency cash taped wording on the outside. I'll do that later. Obviously I haven't done it yet. This also comes with this newspaper, the one that's got Marty Jr. on the cover and not Griff and gang with, gang jailed. Between the two Hot Toys figures of Doc and Marty, I was hoping we'd get the two different newspapers, so I'm really glad that Hot Toys did that, and I'm really glad they included this one with Doc, because Doc is the one who holds this up to Marty and goes, "Look what happens to your son!" So good job for making both. Good job for including it with the appropriate character. Now, Sideshow included this as their little Sideshow exclusive. It's the set of walkie-talkies that Doc and inconspicuous Marty use to communicate with each other. I like that it can come out of the packaging and that the little antenna opens up. That's a nice touch. Some nice little printing right there on the front. Really, there's a lot of good detail on that one. We get 2 left hands here, a little finger pointy thing, and like a standard grip one. And then we get 2 right hands, like kind of a wider kind of grip one, and this sort of gun grip one. I guess he would be using that to hold this. But it's not really a gun. I can't imagine what else. This is the little sleeping device he uses to put Jennifer to sleep. Very simple sculpt. I like the fact that it articulates like it does in the movie. We also get his little future binoculars. Some nice little detail there as far as like the paint job on the top goes, and the fact that there appear to be some sort of lensy things. Like you can look through it there and see my finger passing. So there is like a lens built onto that. We also have his little future glasses. We'll put those on the figure in a moment. But I also got to show you guys the little tiny itty bitty watches that have little tiny itty bitty watch faces. So nice detail on that, good paint jobs. Also comes with a pair of wrist pegs. And lastly, I got to show you guys the fancy figure stand. The Part 2 Marty came with the articulated stand where he was floating, over the water, but we didn't just get a standard figure stand. With this one we do. It's not the standard oval, but I do like this shape. I love having the movie logo on the top, and I do like that we get this movie logo here in the fire trails there. It's a really nice touch. I like this placard a lot more than just saying Dr. Emmett Brown. So that's cool. Now, the width of the glasses is not as wide as his face, which makes them really snug when you try to slide them into these little sort of slits on the side of his head. We can tell they're supposed to plug in. There's that look, and I think it looks really darn good, actually. Where it gets tricky is when you try to slide them up. They kind of want to bounce off, and there's not a perfect place for them. You can't get them all the way up without them sliding right off. So you sort of get them to hover somewhere right above his eyebrows if you can get them to stay. It's a little tricky. There you go. Now, most of the articulation on this figure is pretty good, except for the elbows. The elbows are not double jointed. It's just like a single 90-degree joint. So it's really hard to get his hand up to hold his glasses so you can do the glasses pose. I mean, you can get them pretty close. Right about there. You can, I don't know. That could be better. But look, I put the watches on both wrists and they look pretty good. One thing I do want to point out to you guys, one little nitpick I have with this, it's a pretty big nitpick though, is that depending on the way you're looking at it on the light, there's a seam going across the top of his head. I don't like that seam. I mean, I'm used to seams on action figures and stuff, but I expect a little more from Hot Toys. I mean, they've done their best, so it's not terribly noticeable, but I mean, all it takes is one little second of light to hit it from just the right angle. You could see it going across the top, and that bugs me because it contrasts against the direction the hair is flowing. And here's a bummer. I was sliding the watch along the wrist, which is pretty tight, and the watch face just popped right out. I tried snapping it back in, but it just keeps falling out. Despite the limitations of the elbow, the rest of the articulation of this figure is pretty good. Like the bust, the waist, the mid-torso crunch, the legs, the neck, it's all really good. But what's extra good are the boots. I mean, when you look at this, you actually get some pretty good swivel out of that. A lot of Hot Toys boots, you don't get anything. You get it plugged in and that's it, or maybe you get a little bit of wiggle. But I've never seen Hot Toys boots have this much articulation to them. So that's really nice. Also nice is that his coat has a little wire running through it, so you can flare it out in some kind of dramatic little windswept poses, so that's cool. I do wish the face had more wrinkles, which I've said, but I mean, based on how smooth it is, it really gives him a youthful appearance, too youthful, in my opinion. And also, his hair is a little too thick. Taking a closer look at it, there's a lot of volume to it. When you look at his hair in the movie, it is rather thin. It's thinning kind of all around. It's not this thick. It's not this luscious. So, oh well. But still, for $249, you're getting a pretty good figure with a lot of accessories. Some accessories that don't make sense, though, like the suitcase full of money. Really cool because it's in Part 2, but this version of Doc never rocks that briefcase. That happens later in the movie. Doc only wears this version of the outfit for the first like, you know, a couple scenes. And then he switches to an outfit that you see for most of the movie. And it's that version of Doc that handles the briefcase. Same thing with the walkie-talkies. It's a different version than this that has the walkie-talkie. So while I think it's cool they're including Part 2 accessories, they're not accurate to this figure. So maybe they just needed something to kind of fill out the packaging. I don't know. But despite that, you are getting a pretty good figure with a lot of stuff for $249. And technically you are getting a figure from 2 movies, not just Part 2, but how he looks at the end of Part 1. So that's kind of fun. Also, at the end of Part 1, they get in the DeLorean. He's got like a little, like a Bluetooth thing with like a little mic, like a little thingy. This figure doesn't have that, and I think it should, so that's a bit of a bummer too. If it sounds like I'm kind of complaining, I guess I am. I like this figure, I just don't love it, because it is cool. This version of him is cool. So, yeah, like it. But, anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and if you want, you can subscribe to me here on YouTube and follow me on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. Oh, if you wanted to see the Doc and Marty figures next to each other, here they are, next to each other. In fact, I have a review of the Hot Toys Marty figure up on my channel, so go check that out. No, really, go. Check it out. What's the matter? Chicken?